everyone. Welcome to our June 2026 boot camp, already halfway through the year. Um, we have lots of stuff that we have put together for today's boot camp, and I'm excited for anybody that watches our June 2026 one, only because we have revamped so much on the back end where we provide a lot of the tools, the training, the technology, things like that. So if you've been on our boot camp before, you guys know we do this same Friday every month, first Friday of every month. Although I think next month it's going to be the first time in like 6 years that we're doing our boot camp not on a Friday because Friday ends up on the 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I think it's July 3rd. So, anyways, next month is going to be the first time ever that we've done our boot camp on a Thursday. But otherwise, you guys know we do the boot camp first Friday of every month, same time, same place. And every month we provide a lot of the same tools. We spend basically 3 hours giving you everything you could possibly need to build a successful real estate business. So I always like to start by saying this program is open every month to all agents of all brokerages. You don't have to be a layer agent. And you're not going to get less because you're at a different brokerage. So we're not going to say, hey, here's all the great stuff we have, and you have to now get a username and password. No, we give you everything. So we're going to share with you today unbelievable marketing pieces, branding pieces, buyer guides, seller guides, listing presentations, buyer presentations, marketing pieces. We're going to give you some amazing resources, including systems to grow a successful real estate business. We've written our own manual to getting to 30 transactions a year. So we're going to give you that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that our program every month is designed, it is not a recruiting pitch. It is literally just tools, training, technology to help you grow a successful real estate practice. So, very excited for the June 2026 one, specifically because we've been doing a lot on the back end to just kind of upgrade a lot of the tools and resources that we have and better organize things, just so that our stuff is even easier to find. So let's dig in. I am going to first take you over. Let me stop sharing for just 1 second. I'm going to take you over to our layer program and services guide. So where I start our program every single month is with our layer program and services guide. This is like a magazine of the tools and resources that we offer at our brokerage. The only reason I start here is it gives you kind of an introduction into why we do what we do, which is share everything that we have. 100% of our tools, training, technology we share with you. Uh, but it kind of gives a nice flow to get us launched into the morning. I always say that we'll try to get you off a little bit early because 3 hours we get is a really long time to sit on a Zoom. However, we usually go right up to the end. That's how much content we have. Um, it's really difficult to finish within the 3 hour mark. However, maybe we have reorganized a lot of the stuff that we give out, so maybe we can get wrapped up a little bit earlier than usual today. Um, so let me reshare my screen. I'm going to take you to our layer program and services guide. You should be seeing this on your screen now. This is a magazine of the tools and resources. As I said, you can actually download this at layer, L-A-E-R, realty.com/success tools. And it's a good place to print if you have a printer. Print it out and take notes as you go because a lot of the tools, not all of them, but a lot of the tools we're going to share today are actually embedded in this little guide. And this guide is also, when you're using the PDF version, um, it has embedded links so that you can further explore whatever topic you land upon. So you can download this at lairrealty.com/success tools.
Stacy,
Now,
can you share again?
oh, it didn't share.
Yeah, and then share.
Thank you. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Um, okay. So, before we start going through the initial pieces of this, I do want to encourage everyone to have a pen and paper out to take notes throughout the program, only because if you are spending a great deal of time focusing on your business, which it says a lot about you that you are here for a 3-hour program to learn how to better organize your business and what tools you can be using for your business. We want to make sure that you execute on that. I always say, although the well-known saying is that knowledge is power, I say knowledge is potential, and that the true power is in executing. In other words, the power is not sitting at a 3-hour program to learn about resources for your business. The true power is when you leave today, what are you going to execute on? How is your business going to look different tomorrow because you attended today's program? So, the best way to ensure that you do execute is to take a simple piece of paper, label it 1 to 10, and as you go, write down the 10 things you're going to execute on after you leave today's program. I promise you, you're going to have 10 things written down. You could write down 50 or 60 things that you're going to go execute on after you leave today's program. But let's start with a nice small number of 10 things that you're going to go execute on. And then once you execute on those items, you can always come back and watch the replay. We post this right to our YouTube station directly after the program is ended, so you can go watch the replay. But make sure that you don't lose sight of the fact that sitting on a training class doesn't really give you any power at all. The true power is on those things that you're going to execute on after you leave today. Now, I'm going to give you hints throughout today's program. So I'll tell you, if you don't have this already working for you in your business, this is something you need to be adding to your business. So I'm going to definitely give you some hints as we go today. But also you're going to come up with your own stuff. You're going to see little things and you're going to say, hey, I should be doing that in my business. But we have jam-packed 3 hours to go, so I'm going to dig in. So you're looking at the Lair Program and Services Guide, our magazine of the tools and resources. I'll give you a 30-second pitch on who Lair is. We are an independent real estate brokerage. We've been around for 12 years. Lair stands for Local Agents Extraordinary Results. Where our name came from is when starting the brokerage 12 years ago, I didn't even know what the name of the company was going to be. I had hired a branding agency and they asked me, what is your goal? And I said, the goal is to help great real estate agents. So we're going to grow great real estate agents and we're going to attract great real estate agents. So the branding agency asked me, what makes a great real estate agent? And I said, the best agents are strong. They are negotiators of difficult terrain, just meaning good agents are really good at overcoming obstacles, because that's what every transaction is. You are presented with a bag of obstacles for you to get through. And the best agents are true protectors of their clients. So in other words, they're not focused on a paycheck first. They're focused on helping people. So at the time, I put all those words into a Google search. Strong, protector, negotiator. And the first thing that came up in a search was a lion. So I said, that's it. We're going to build the brand around the lions of real estate. In the wild, lions stay together in lairs. So we said we're going to be the place where the lions of real estate come together. So we launched 12 years ago as an independent brokerage. I always say that we're big enough to compete with the really large conglomerates. Today, we have almost 800 real estate agents, and we are spread across New England and Southern Florida. So we're big enough to compete with the conglomerates, but small enough to care about each and every agent. I say we're still kind of a mom and pop shop. We just happen to have almost 800 agents. So we launched 12 years ago. Sometimes you see lion statues in front of a home or in front of a walkway. That is because the lion is a symbol of protection. We look at it that there's a new symbol of protection for real estate across New England and Florida, and that is our Lair for sale sign. So after the first few pages of the program guide go into our cultural values, they're worth looking at, especially I tell agents when you're considering a brokerage that you're going to go to, it's not a bad idea to look at what their values are to make sure your values align with the values of the brokerage so you know you're going to be there for a while. It then talks about the fact that we are independent. Like I said, even though we're small, we still do quite a bit of business. So we're consistently ranked each year by the Real Trends 500 and the Riz Media Power Broker Report as one of the largest brokerages in the country. And then from there on out, this booklet is all meat. So the booklet is divided into 4 sections. The first section is marketing and branding because that's what agents tend to really want help with the most when growing their business. The second piece of the booklet is technology, and we're going to spend some time today talking about really cool technology for your business. The third piece of the book is education. Where do you find the best training? Where do you get a system for building your business? And we've created one that is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's the best in the industry. At least I haven't seen one like it yet, but it walks you through what you need to do to build a successful real estate practice. And then the fourth piece of today is really just administrative support that we offer our brokerage. So we're really going to spend most of today, half of today, just marketing and branding, because many of you, that's where you want the most extra support. And then we'll go into some technology, and then we'll go into training, education, and
You muted yourself, Stacy.
what's up?
You had muted yourself somehow.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so next is Lair Agent Services. This is where we're going to spend the morning. So the next hour, we're going to spend 1 hour at lairagentservices.com, really just exploring. And so you guys can actually head over there now. Lair, Laer, agentservices.com. And this is the first thing I will point out to everybody is that there's no password to get in. So you can actually just start utilizing the resources here. If you haven't been on our boot camp in a few months, this probably looks completely new to you because although we've had Lair Agent Services for many, many years, and we've always provided great marketing pieces, branding pieces, training, education for the entire brokerage community. There were things that our old agent services dashboard didn't do. For example, it didn't have this search capability. So Sergio and our amazing tech team spent basically the entire winter revamping our entire agent services dashboard. So now it has the search capability, and we've been going through and reorganizing it to make it better and better and better each month. So lots of new things on here. Now I want to take you just to show you aesthetically how this whole page works so you know where to find stuff. At the very top of the page is kind of just a little table of contents. There's a few things on here. We have our host schedule. So most of our offices have staff throughout the week who sit in there and like deposit checks, make sure the offices look great. If you want to see, if you're a Lair agent and you want to see when the host for your office is going to be working, you can click on that schedule just to see what hours they are. The reason that's important is that if you, for example, have somebody dropping off a check, for example, and you want to make sure somebody's in the office, you can just go see. You can also see if your host is in the office today or if they've called in sick. You can see where everybody is. The second link is just our internal company newsletter. Next is the recently joined agents at Lair, which actually just brings you down here to the recently joined area. Then all these other ones like marketing, that's going to take you down to the marketing section. The training's going to take you down to the training section. So really where all the content lays is when you start scrolling down. So you'll see we've divided up everything to make it as organized as possible. And we're going to spend the next at least an hour going through some of the main pieces that you want to be aware of on Lair Agent Services. But specifically, I want to just spend a couple minutes under the resources for recently joined agents, only because I can see that some of you that are on today's program did just recently join Lair. And one of the things we always struggle with as a brokerage is we have so much stuff. We have so much training, so much marketing. There's so many things that you even have to do. That's why this piece, even if you're not a Lair agent, is super valuable, because there's so many things that you should be updating no matter what brokerage you're at. Just as an example, like, of course, all your social media pages should have your accurate brokerage on there. But what about Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com? Like, you have free profile pages on all of those that you can go update with a current bio, a current photo. And the reason this is important is because when somebody hires a stranger, which you are a stranger to a portion of the people who are going to hire you in the next 12 months. Well, the first thing somebody does when they hire a stranger is they Google the person to find out a little bit about them. And typically what comes up on the first page of a Google search is your website, your company website, Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. All of those should give a really proficient representation of who you are. In other words, don't blow that off. Anyways, this is a brand new button. So we're under right at the top, resources for recently joined agents. This is all brand new. So the very first button is this begin onboarding button. And basically we took our entire onboarding process and made it into a checklist. So first off, at the very top of the page, you can actually print this checklist if you wanted to print it out. But even if you are not a Lair agent, I encourage you to take yourself through the process, because there's lots of pieces within this checklist of things that you should have properly set up for your business. So at the very top of this page, it has our help resources. So where do you get help if you're a Lair agent? Well, number one, you can email happyagent@lairrealty.com. Our staff is available 7 days a week to answer questions, legal questions, marketing questions, whatever you have, give it to us. We're happy to help. So that's one place. Another place that you can get help is we created these briefing sessions. This is all brand new as well. Oftentimes as an agent, you need support. You want help doing a CMA. You want help doing a listing presentation. You want help on a commercial transaction. These are all what are called briefing sessions. These are 30-minute sessions with our staff. So if you're an agent and you just need to get on somebody's calendar because you need help. So we're still adding to this, like adding new briefing sessions based on what you guys say you need help with. But what we love about these briefing sessions is that it's like it goes direct to your calendar and the calendar of our staff member who is proficient in what you need assistance with. So it gets right on the calendar. It sets it up as a one-on-one Google Meet so that you'll see the staff member and they'll walk you through whatever you need assistance with. So that's under help. That's under the under help resources, layer briefing sessions. And then we also have this layer GPS, which is just the most commonly asked questions at our brokerage. But then it goes through step one, step two, like step two, build your online presence, update your social media. Here's update your agent profiles on Zillow.com, Homes.com, Realtor.com. Create your email signature. Your email signature should not go unnoticed no matter what brokerage you work at, because you know the billboards a lot of real estate agents try to buy, like a billboard on the side of the road, because they think somebody driving by is going to see the billboard and call them. Well, you are your own highway. You are communicating with people all day, every day. And so your billboard is your email signature line. So that's why we put that in there. And then this, of course, if you're not a layer agent, some of these tools won't apply to you, but this is all about just making sure that you're using tools within your business as a force multiplier. So many real estate agents have all these resources at their fingertips and they simply just don't use them. Why? It takes an investment of time. But the investment that you make in time using these tools is what is going to change the trajectory of your career. So you got to take time getting used to them and using them. So anyways, I'm not going to spend time going through every single item here, but I wanted to say, number one, if you're a brand new agent at Layer, you should go to that onboarding button and it's going to walk you through all the things to properly set up your business. Number two, if you're not a Layer agent, I would still go and click on begin onboarding, because 90% of the items within that onboarding checklist are things that you should have set up no matter what brokerage you work at. So we'll leave it at that. Next button is the program and services guide. That's where we started this morning. That's that magazine I showed you. Our frequently asked questions, that's for Layer agents, the email signature, the briefing sessions, and then we have some great social media pieces. If you're a new Layer agent, you can click on that and it'll give you some announcement, social media pieces, postcards, letters, etc. Then we have our join us in welcoming section. These are just recent agents who joined the brokerage. So welcome if you're on today's call. If you recently joined our brokerage and you don't see that you've been welcomed here yet, it is usually because we're missing something, either a photo or a bio. We don't want to introduce you to our team yet until we know a little bit about you. So next is marketing, branding, presentations, and this is where we're going to spend a great deal of the morning. So one of the areas that agents really need a great deal of assistance with is just marketing and branding pieces in general, because they represent who you are as a human, why people want to hire you. And philosophically, the way we think about the business as a brokerage is, first of all, I've been a broker now for 26 years. And I know that sounds crazy because I look like I'm 26. I know that's what you're thinking. So, but no, I'm a little bit older than 26. And I've been a broker now for 26 years. But it's super interesting watching the trajectory of the business over the years, because 20 years ago, the brand you worked for mattered, because 20 years ago, the way the consumer typically knew who to call was based on television advertising, Yellow Page. Remember the Yellow Pages, those books? And real estate brokerages would buy like huge sections because you wanted to be noticed in the Yellow Pages. So TV ads, radio ads, Yellow Pages, all of that stuff mattered such a great deal. And it mattered where you worked, mattered because the consumer was going to call that number direct, whoever they saw in the yellow pages with the biggest ad or in the newspaper. But our business has changed a great deal. The brand does not matter. I won't say that. I won't say the brand doesn't matter. I'll say the brand has changed. The brand is you. So the consumer, in my opinion, does not know who you work for, nor do they need to know who you work for. The consumer today is going direct to real estate agent. It is extremely rare, in my opinion, that the consumer is going direct to a brokerage. They are going direct to the real estate agent. So that changes the role of the brokerage. What value does a brokerage have now? Well, now more than ever, the brokerage is the back end support system for the real estate agent. That's why you see a lot of these big franchises, they have to change the way they do business, because for many years they were the brand. Their model was, let's spend multi-millions of dollars on TV, radio, yellow pages, newspaper, and then we'll get calls and we give them to our agents. But now because of social media, that's never going to go back. In other words, even if millions of dollars is spent on radio, TV, advertising, even if all that money is still spent, first of all, we know how divided the whole media industry is. So it's no longer like 3 TV stations. There's like thousands of TV stations. There's all kinds of streaming networks, plus on top of that, cable. So it's never going to go back to the brand being the place, the source of the business for the real estate agent. Maybe a little bit trickles in that way, but for the most part, you must now be the brand. Because of social media, the consumer's coming direct to you. So that means that we as real estate agents have to be so good at being our own brand in the marketplace, and the real estate brokerages must be so good at taking good care of the agents so that the agents can take care of their clients, and the name of the brokerage no longer matters. So this means that you are the marketer, you are the advertiser for your business. That is why all the resources that we're going to cover today are so important for your business. And where we're going to spend some time for the next half an hour or so is under this button here called Guides, Presentations, and Brochures. So if you're a Lair agent, we have most of these pieces, if not all of these pieces, under our Zara marketing platform, which we'll talk about in a little while. But we have lots of agents that really love Canva, and we have lots of agents who don't work here and don't have access to Zara. So we continue to make all of the pieces that we typically make, we're putting on both. We're putting on Canva, and for Lair agents, we're putting them inside our Zara marketing platform. So let's talk about what these pieces are. Now, anything for the most part that you click on here is going to open into a Canva template. So if you're not familiar with Canva, by the way, I'll spend 2 seconds just explaining Canva a little bit. Canva is a place where you can make branded pieces for your business, from social media pieces to buyer guides, seller guides, listing presentations, buyer presentations, advertisements for whatever you need, flyers, you name it. You can make it all on Canva. And what's wonderful about Canva is back when I started in real estate, we used like Adobe for printing, like making print materials, things like that. And it was the downside to doing it the old way in the old days. Like you needed to have a marketing degree to make your print pieces, because the technology was so difficult to use that you couldn't make your own print pieces. You had to hire somebody to make your print pieces. Well, Canva makes it so that anybody, a layman, you don't have to have a marketing degree to go in and create a beautiful piece in Canva. So we love Canva because it also has what are called templates. That means that we as a brokerage can make really nice pieces for you. and shared the template with you so that now you can take the piece instead of you having to go make a for sale by owner guide. We can create the for sale by owner guide and then share with you the template for the for sale by owner guide. And then you just add your picture and your contact information. And now the for sale by owner guide is yours. So as you can see, we have lots of pieces here. For example, the for sale by owner guide is on here. Let's see, we have an expired listing guide, buyer guide, seller guide, investor guide, for sale by owner. And let's just open one so you can take a look at what happens when you open one of these. Now, so it'll tell you you're opening a template shared by the Lair Marketing Department, view template. And by the way, in case you've never used Canva before, once you open the template, you now own it. It's now in your Canva. So that means that if you make a change to it, we're not going to see it on our end. It's only on your end. So you don't have to worry about changing it because sometimes people say, I don't want to change it because it's going to change your copy. That's not going to happen. As soon as you open the template, basically Canva puts the template in your Canva. So we're not even going to see any of the changes you made. If somebody else comes and clicks on the for sale by owner, it's going to be the one that we shared, not the one with your changes. So Canva has two versions. They have a free version and a Canva Pro version. You can utilize all of our pieces using the free version of Canva with one caveat. The caveat is, and by the way, the paid version is super inexpensive in my opinion. It's $15 per month, right around there, $13 to $15 per month. They discount it if you pay a year up front. I pay for the upgraded version of Canva, and I think as a real estate agent, you should too. I think, and I don't spend your money easily, by the way. There's lots of things that I think you don't need to spend money on. Canva, the paid version of Canva is kind of a must, and I'll tell you why. When you're creating branded pieces for your business, such as this one, the for sale by owner guide, there's lots of stock images. So this is a stock image on the front, this blue couch with the blue back wall. That is what is called a stock image. So that is like photographer went and created this piece that we can now use in our Canva. So first caveat I want to say is never, never, never use a Google image. So don't go to Google and Google like blue couch image and then drag it into Canva. Never use an image that you grab off of Google. Because I promise you, we've been sued for copyright because the agent or we had one instance where an agent hired a high school student as a social media assistant, and the high school student didn't know any better and went to Google, got free images, because you guys know you can go to Google Images and get thousands and thousands of images, except many of those images are copyright protected. And copyright protection is a really big issue. So our settlements were 20,000 plus, and that's for using an image that does not belong to you. So never go to Google and get an image. Within Canva, they give you images. So under elements, I can go and type in that I want a picture of a pretty living room. And I'm going to look at photos. It's going to give me a whole bunch of photos that I can choose from. So these are stock images it's giving me within Canva. So first off, you can use any image that you get within Canva because your Canva membership comes with these images that you can use. So one of the things you'll note is when I just typed in that I wanted a pretty living room to put on the front of my magazine here. This is if you wanted to change out this photo. For the most part, you don't have to change out photos. But one of the things that you'll see is the images it gives me to choose in Canva. There's these little pictures of a crown in the lower right-hand corner. that means those images are only available for Canva Pro users, meaning you've got to be paying for their service in order to use the Canva Pro. Now, even if you have the free version of Canva, there's millions of images to choose from. Literally, there's probably a million plus images to choose from, even if you're using. So, for example, there's a living room right here. This is not Canva Pro. So I could just move this image over and that is a free image. So I don't have to have Canva Pro to be using that image. So here's where it matters. Many of our pieces were created using Canva Pro. So that means that if you have the free version of Canva and we used a Canva Pro image, when you open the template, if you have the free version of Canva, it's going to have a watermark across this image and other images. Because when we designed the piece, we were using Canva Pro. You're in the free version of Canva, which means if you want to use those images, you either have to pay for Canva Pro or you have to do what I just did. Go find another picture within Canva that is not a Canva Pro one. It doesn't have the little crown at the bottom. So that means I'm welcome to use that image as a free Canva user. So that's the biggest caveat, is that if you are using the free Canva and you're using our templates, you will have to change out photos occasionally, these stock images. Doesn't mean you have to go buy Canva. It means that you have to go into the elements, type in the picture you're looking for, and you have to stick to their images that don't have the little crown in the lower right-hand corner, because those are for free users. So other than that, you're welcome to use any of our pieces, and we have hundreds of pieces for you to use, like this awesome for sale by owner guide. So this particular for sale by owner guide is a 29-page magazine. It's got an intro section. All of our stuff is meant to be customized, meaning add your photo, add your bio, stuff like that. But this particular one is meant for, let's say that you notice one of your neighbors puts up a for sale by owner sign in their yard. You would print this out for them, and basically it is a guide to show them how to sell their house on their own. And do you think that we make that look easy? Of course not. So the guide makes it look really difficult to sell their own house, because it is really difficult. There's so many things that a for sale by owner does not think about when they're thinking about selling their house. So that is why this guide is a gift to them. And you're showing up with a free gift that you say, hey, congratulations on deciding to sell your house on your own. I put together this magazine and it's going to walk you through all the things that you need to know. In fact, if you can sit with them, go through all the things with them. This is a presentation. It's going to talk about how to host open houses, how to market, what things do they have to disclose, what kind of due diligence do they have to do, what should they know about mortgages, what do they have to know about negotiating, what are the little tricks that we know about evaluating offers and what to look for in an offer, what do they have to be careful of in an offer. So this whole guide has all kinds of things that they really need to be thinking about, all kinds of checklists that they have to incorporate into selling their house. And then at the end, it's got a place for you to customize. So this is just one of the pieces. It's a for sale by owner guide that many of our agents like. I do want to share a few more items from this guides, presentations, brochure area, because when we started today, I said that you should write down a piece of paper, write down 1 to 10, and you're going to go execute on 10 things after you leave today. Well, some of those things are here. Some of the things that you're going to want to execute on are right in this section. So first, we have a listing presentation and a buyer presentation. You should have both. I'm going to move right over to the buyer presentation only because many of you have been in real estate for a really long time and you have listing presentations. And up until 2 years ago, when the industry changed, most agents did have a listing presentation. Why is that super common sense for us? It's super common sense to have a listing presentation because for 20, 30, 40 years, when you go on a listing, you're asking the consumer to commit to you for a long time, 3 months, 6 months, a year. You're asking them to trust you for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. And so, in order to get somebody to feel comfortable signing a contract with you, it makes sense. We have to show them our value proposition. So, most of you have listing presentations. If you don't, it's a game changer because it makes people feel comfortable signing something once you've presented and articulated your value proposition. So we have several different listing presentations for you to choose from here. What many of you might not have is a buyer presentation, because the way we always operated up until 2 years ago is many agents never got a buyer contract signed. They'd work with buyers, but they didn't actually have a buyer contract. So if you don't have a buyer presentation, this is a game changer. So first, let's just talk about listing and buyer presentations in general. By the way, our listing and buyer presentation, we set up almost like a PowerPoint format. The idea is you would show up at your presentation with a laptop or a tablet, and you would go through the slides with the client to show them and articulate your value. So one thing I want you to think about, in case you don't have a listing presentation or you don't have a buyer presentation, what I want you to think about is why these are so absolutely important. The biggest reason that they're important is that they are a checklist manifesto. So your success as a real estate agent in your business, your success is a byproduct of the things you do consistently. So the things that you do consistently in your business will end up equating to a successful business. Where many real estate agents hurt their own business is they don't have a level of consistency. If you don't have a level of consistency at something, you're not going to have a level of success. What I mean by that is if you look at the highest performing real estate professionals, so we have agents right now, no matter what the market, we have agents at our brokerage that make $1 million a year every single year. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. By the way, that's a hint. That tells us the market's in our own heads. So the actual real estate market has nothing to do with what is happening in the outside world. And if you don't believe that, you should be watching Quantum Sparks every Monday where we explain those concepts, because your mindset is what predicates your success in business as well. But back to the consistency. What's really interesting, if you look at super high performing real estate agents, the agents that make 200, 300, 500, $1 million a year, regardless of what the market does, they are super highly consistent at something. And by the way, it's not all the same things. Some are consistent at one thing, others are consistent at another thing. So as you're thinking about your business, you have to be thinking about what are the things I'm going to be highly consistent at. One of the areas you can be highly consistent is in your listing and buyer presentations. In other words, every time you show up at a listing or a buyer presentation, you're presenting the same thing. So what's important about these presentations is they help you create consistency, consistent messaging when you show up to your appointment, consistent articulation of the value that you bring to the table. But also, these are checklist manifestos for your success. There's a wonderful book by Atul Gawande called The Checklist Manifesto. And basically, the whole idea of it is creating checklists. So, for example, he starts the book by talking about like airline pilots of these commercial airlines. They have very specific checklists every time they take off and every time they land. It is a very consistent checklist of things they do because they don't want to leave, like, they don't want to leave the takeoff and the landing to happenstance. There are many real estate agents that leave their entire business to happenstance, like just by accident, stuff that happens. So this is an area where your listing presentation and your buyer presentation is a checklist manifesto. And what's cool about your checklist manifesto is that you're going to always be consistently stating the same thing, consistently articulating value in the same exact way. And as you start using these presentations over and over and over, you're not always going to win the buyer. You're not always going to win the listing. But what you're going to be able to go back to is say, hey, what is the thing that I could have mentioned in my presentation this time that would have resulted in me getting this buyer or me getting this listing? And then you can go back and add a slide to your checklist, add a slide to your presentation, so that this is a work in progress, always getting better and better each and every day and each and every week. Okay, so this one is our buyer presentation, and I just want to go through really quick to show you the level of detail that we put into our presentations. And this is the level of detail we put into everything that we give you. So there's no junk here. When it comes to the training programs we offer, there's no junk, there's no fluff. When we give you marketing pieces, there's no fluff. We don't give you, if you're an agent at another brokerage, we don't give you just half of what we have. We give you 100% of what we have. So this is our buyer presentation. One thing I just want to point out, by the way, it's all meant to be customized to you. So you can open it as a Canva template, go customize it to you. You put in your photo, your contact information, etc. And you can delete slides, you can add slides. These are truly meant for you to create for you. Now, one thing that I want to talk about before I go through why we designed the buyer presentation the way we designed it is we probably have a mix of agents on today's call. We do business both in New England and Florida. And the level of agency that we work within, like buyer agency, seller rep, buyer rep, things like that, the fiduciary responsibility the agents have in New England is quite a bit higher than the level of fiduciary responsibility in Florida. And that's just how it is. That's just how most of Florida works under transaction brokerage. And so it matters because it matters if your presentations are promising something, you should make sure you're delivering on it. So at the very base, if you're using any of our presentations, you want to go in and customize it, make it your own, take out slides, add slides, but most importantly of all, make sure that you actually deliver whatever you're promising. So one of the things you'll see when you go into our presentation materials, we have different, our buyer presentation for New England is different than our buyer presentation for Florida. Because it should be, because we have different fiduciary responsibilities in Florida than we do in New England and vice versa. So make sure that your presentation lines up with what you actually deliver to the client. Next, if you're working at another brokerage, you're not there. We're fine with all these pieces because we created them. But because you're promising something within these pieces, I think it's a good idea that when you use our piece, once you've customized it, once you take our buyer presentation and seller presentation, once you've customized it, send it to your broker owner, just to make sure that you're not over-promising something, that you're not over-promising a fiduciary responsibility that you don't actually provide. So that's kind of my catch-all. Then I want to just show you this buyer presentation because I wanted to show you something really cool with the way we organized this. We were very purposeful. So whenever we organize a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, we do them in PowerPoint format. It's within Canva, but what I mean by that, it's a presentation format like this, like a screen presentation format, because this is how you would present a class. Like if you were going to go do a buyer class or a seller class, by the way, these presentation materials are perfect for classes as well because they're set up to teach somebody. They are set up in presentation format because we are teaching the buyer and seller how to select a great real estate agent. And by default, we are also showing our value. We are articulating our value as a teacher to them. So this particular buyer presentation goes through the 10-step buying process because we are the teacher and the buyer is the student. So we're presenting to them as a student all the things that they should be seeking in a buyer agent. So this is the 10-step buying process that we go through. Step 1, evaluation, consultation, representation. Here we talk about, do I actually need a buyer agent? And we go into how agents are paid. And we talk about all the things a buyer agent will promise to do for them by representing them, from strategizing to locating properties to referring reliable professionals, preparing and explaining all the forms. By the way, what is the most valuable thing you do for the consumer? You teach them, which is what you are articulating by doing this presentation. So you're walking them through this, talking about all the things that you agree to do. And by the way, we then remind them subtly that this is two ways. So what are they agreeing to do when they work with you? So we go first, this is what you agree. Then we talk about what they're going to agree to do. And then we actually, this is actually probably an old buyer agent contract for Massachusetts, but the idea here is you're actually, as step 1 of the teaching process, you're going to take out the buyer agreement and go through it with them. So you're going to cut and paste your version of your buyer contract right here, and you're going to walk them through it as step 1 of a 10-step process. And then you're going to highlight the part where you say, we're going to ask for the seller to contribute towards the buyer agent fee. So basically, we walk them through step 1, which is what does a buyer agent do? Why do I need a buyer agent? What am I committing to by hiring you? What do I have to do on my end? And what do you do on your end? How does the buyer agent get paid? And how can I subsidize it? All of that is step 1. And you're actually going to pull out the buyer contract and go through it in step 1. Now, some people disagree with me. Some people say, no, I bring that out at the very, very end as the last thing for them to sign. I disagree with that. I think it's the first thing that you bring out, because if you try to go through 10-step buying process and you have not addressed the buyer agent fee first and foremost, they are just concentrating on that in their own heads. That's all they're thinking about. They're thinking about the fee while you're trying to explain the value that you bring to the table. So you are tuned out for your entire buyer presentation. Whereas if you lead with it and put it right at the very start of your materials, you lead with it, it's no big deal. It's not something you're scared of. It's something that you're like, hey, yeah, this is what I get paid, because these are all the things I'm going to do with you. And by the way, we get another half an hour of stuff I'm going to show you about working with me. So I can almost promise you that you get to the end of this presentation, nobody's worried about signing a 6-month contract or a 1-year contract, just like your sellers who watch you do your whole presentation and they're like, yeah, sign me up. I'm happy to sign up for 6 months. I want you to take all that work. That's what's going to happen with these buyer presentations. And then the rest of it, once you get that piece off the table, the rest is like smooth sailing, determining a comfortable price range, things for them to think about. You're going to talk about how to evaluate mortgage options, that they should be shopping for more than an interest rate. Like, don't call around 10 banks and just ask for an interest rate, because interest rate is like 1/10 of the story when it comes to mortgage. You want to talk to them about what they should be shopping for, from the costs, definitely interest rate. Is it fixed? Are there 5-year adjustable options? How much money do they need down? What is the monthly payment? What does the monthly payment include? You're going to talk about pre-approved versus pre-qualification. What is mortgage insurance? Step 3, you're going to tell them about all the things they should be thinking about when evaluating a community. School reports, crime reports, community services, how long of distance to transit, sensory considerations. Is there a train going through the backyard? Is there an airport nearby? Is there a farm nearby? You're then going to tell them how to shop for a home. This is so important. This is probably the second most important part of your presentation, how to shop for a home. Because if you do not teach them how to shop for a home, I promise you they are going to go to Zillow. Do you want them shopping for a home on Zillow? I don't want them shopping for a home on Zillow. Zillow is super interesting as a place to go look for real estate, but I want to control where my buyer is looking at real estate, and I do not want them shopping on a site that sells the client's name to other real estate professionals. So I want to make sure I control where that buyer is looking. So at Lair, we use Real Scout. We'll give you a little demo on how we use Real Scout later on today's class. But I for sure am going to include in the buyer presentation that this is how you shop for real estate. Let's get you signed up on the Real Scout app. I'm going to show you how to select the houses or the price range and the towns you want. And now I have control. I could see on the back end what they're looking at. In other words, I'm going to be my own Zillow. So important. We'll come back to that later. Next, we're going to talk about what they should do when visiting an open house, because they're under contract with you. So they need to know, what do I do if I want to go to an open house? Next, we're going to talk about off-market properties. What should they do if they see a for sale by owner? Step 5, property due diligence. You're going to talk about all the things that you're going to do to help them research the property that they're looking for. You're probably going to do a CMA. You're going to see if permits are pulled on the new deck that has been installed, all that kind of good stuff. Step 6, pricing and offer strategy. You're going to talk about what happens if there's a bidding war. You're going to talk about writing the offer, what to do if the offer is rejected, what to do if they get an accepted offer. You're going to go through all the different types of inspections that are available. So you guys basically get the point here. Is there's a lot that goes into buying a home. I think this, if you want to get through this really fast, it's a 20-minute presentation. But why do you want to get through it fast? Like, this is value. This is like, I think, going slide by slide and talking about all the things that many real estate agents are not even talking about with their buyer, so that that buyer feels like so much clarity around the entire process. This is another one, preventing mortgage declines, like talking in advance with your buyer about the fact that they shouldn't go out and buy a car, finance furniture, co-sign a debt, change jobs, quit jobs, etc. And then you're going to talk about homeowners insurance concerns, things to think about, especially in Florida right now, but all that's coming this way to New England as well. So it's going to be a concern for everybody eventually, but things like age of the roof, age of the home, climate considerations, flood zones, proximity to ocean, all of this actually matters as far as home insurance. And then you're going to talk about what the closing process looks like, what a final walkthrough is, closing documents, what they mean, etc. Think about how valuable you become as a real estate professional when you do a presentation like this. When at your buyer appointment, you're going through an actual buyer contract. At your buyer appointment, you're actually going through an offer form. Like the first time somebody sees an offer form, in my opinion, shouldn't be when they're writing an offer on a property. That should have been at the very, very beginning. The first time a buyer, especially in New England, less so in Florida because those houses are newer, but in New England, the first time a buyer sees a lead paint form should absolutely not be when they're offering on a property. That should have been way before, like at the very beginning of the process, that they understand about lead paint, not like a throw in form at the last minute when they're writing an offer. So, and what's cool about all of this is like this is where you can totally shine as a real estate agent. Do most agents do a presentation like this? Unfortunately, no, I don't think they do. I think many agents just kind of get out there and start showing real estate without actually digging into um, sorry, it's not letting me unshare my cam. There we go. So anyways, that's just the buyer presentation. We have listing presentations, many of them that are equally as detailed. We also have a buyer guide, a seller guide, an investor guide. So you can go down, let me show you one of these. And then in a second, I'm going to tell you the ones that I think are most important for your business, because some of you have probably already filled up your 10 things that you're going to go execute on today after today's program. But definitely the buyer presentation, seller presentation, the investor guide, the buyer guide, and the seller guide. So a couple other cool pieces we have here, by the way. We have these cute buyer and seller monopoly boards. These are just flyers that you can print out and include in your buyer or seller packages. And it basically shows the whole process of buying a home or selling a home, like a little monopoly board. So you can customize those. We also have a guide to, like I said before, this guide to selling your home. There's a Florida one and one for all the other states, only because the fiduciary responsibility is slightly different in the states. So we got to be careful about what we're promising. So this is the seller guide, and you guys can customize these. So this is something you would print and bind. This one's a 14-page guide, a 14-page consumer guide, and it's like 8.5 by 11. So you print it, it's like a magazine, and it's all the things somebody should think about when they're getting their home ready for sale. We have one of those for buyers as well. I also wanted to show you, oh, there's an expired listing guide. If you guys go after expired listings, there is a magazine for expired listings. You can click on that, and that is like a 9-page little magazine to send out or drop off at your expired listing. I love these buyer and seller intake forms. So these make you look super professional. Imagine you show up to your buyer appointment and you have like this whole presentation and you have a whole folder with like really good stuff. You have a buyer guide, you have a buyer intake form where they fill out all the things that matter for your, not only for what type of house they're looking for, but information that will best suit you in forming a strong relationship with your buyer. So this is an 8-page intake form. You could take off our logos if you're with another company. So it's all the buyer information, what kind of home they want, location, amenities, likes, dislikes, additional notes. We have a really cool seller one as well. I love the seller one because this one has some additional information that a seller can provide with you for you. For example, their favorite parts of the house. stuff that you could use for marketing the property, like this favorite features of the home, interior renovations and upgrades, exterior renovations, upgrades, room descriptions, things like that. So tons of great content in here. I will spare you taking through any more. The best way to go check all of this out is just to head over to Lair Agent Services. We've only clicked on like a couple buttons here. This one is guides, presentations, brochures, and you can kind of surf around on your own. But let's go to our list of 10 things that we're going to execute on, because I don't want to lose sight of the fact that you're here is amazing and awesome and wonderful, and you're like the creme de la creme of real estate agents, that you are spending 3 hours learning about how to improve your business. But we don't want it to end at noon today. The real power is what happens after 12 o'clock today. What are the things you're going to go execute on? So, some of the things that you should have on your list of 10 items that you're going to execute on. Number one, hopefully you have a listing presentation. If you don't, create a listing presentation. And we already did 90% of the work. So this isn't like it's going to take you 3 days to create your listing presentation. You just have to go through and read all the ones we have and then pick one and go customize it. It's less than 1 hour's work. 2, buyer presentation. I bet many of you don't have a buyer presentation. Go create a buyer presentation. This is your checklist manifesto. We've already done 95% of the work for you. So listing presentation, buyer presentation. Number 3, your packages. You want like a shock and awe package when you meet with a customer. So you want a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package. And we have all the materials right here. So all you have to do is get a folder, really nice folder with your name or your company name on it. And you're going to fill it with items of value for your people that you meet. And all the pieces you need are right here. So if it's a buyer package, you will put like the buyer guide. You might put the Monopoly board piece with that shows the process. You might put the buyer intake form. If you're a Lair agent, you would put a brochure about Lair in there. So there's other pieces as well. I've only gone through a couple of them, but you want a buyer package, you want a seller package with like the seller guide, the seller process, and you want an investor package. So you're gonna have 3 packages. And you're going to go work on those when you leave today. Maybe you get them done for this weekend. And you're going to have 10 of each printed and ready to go. Because where I don't want you to make the mistake is where many people make the mistake, which is they say, okay, I know where to get the info. So when I have a buyer, I will go make the package. Nope, that's the mistake. The mistake is go execute today. Because the energy you put into creating these packages, the energy that you put out is that you're ready for business. You don't want to put out an energy of like, when and if I get business, I'll put a package together. No, you want to lead with the energy that you're going to get business. So go get your packages done. That is like the energy of waiting for the business because you are ready for it. So you've got to get the packages done, and this should be right at the top of your list when you leave today. So I tell people 10 buyer packages, 10 seller packages, and 10 investor packages. And then I say print them, put them in the folders, and put them in one of those huge like Tupperware bins and have them in your car. And when you are out in your life, doing your daily routines, going to Starbucks and going food shopping and going to the hair salon. I will tell you, I go to the hair salon once a month. Every single month, there's somebody at the hair salon that wants to buy or sell a house. Always sitting in the chair over there. People are always talking about real estate. So how cool is it to say, I'm gonna run out to my car. I got a package for you. I heard you were talking about buying or selling a house. I don't know if you've selected a real estate professional yet. If not, I am the person for you. And I've put together this package that you could take with you. That's so much better than giving somebody a business card that gets stuck in their pocket and put through the laundry and comes out as a million little pieces in the laundry. So go get your packages done. That needs to be on your top 10 list of things that you are completing. So that's just one button. That's guides, presentations, and brochures. And I have at least another half an hour of marketing pieces that I want to share with you. But first, I want to introduce you to our Chief Sustainability Officer, Craig Foley, because he always has some really awesome stuff to share with everybody. Even though his specialty is sustainability, and he's been like the sustainability guru back when it was like a niche and like nobody even knew what that was. Now it's like you have to know what it is because it has become part of every transaction that we do. Like every single transaction requires a knowledge of sustainability, which is why we ask Craig to come on every single month and give you guys the latest and greatest on the sustainability front. So welcome, Craig.
Thanks very much, Stacy. Thanks for the intro. I
Yep.
appreciate it. I'm going to just switch to my version of Layer Agent Services. I'm going to stay in Layer Agent Services. As Stacy said, I am the Chief Sustainability Officer for the company, which, in reality means for many agents, they're listing a home with solar panels on the rooftop and they don't really know how to handle that in the transaction. So I'm a resource for those agents that are going through that process. But we have created a set of tools in the agent toolbox under the sustainability piece that are really, really good. And there's kind of a range here and of kind of simple things that you can do, kind of a starter set for sustainability. If you've never thought about this or dealt with this thinking about this for your business, kind of intermediate step and then an advanced set of steps as well in here. As Stacy said earlier, be ready for business, be on top of your business. So I do hope that you'll add a couple pieces here of at least starting this process. One of them, if you're looking at the starter set here, the real easy stuff to just take a look at what's going on, is the National Association of Realtors created this Intro to Sustainability and Resiliency. So when you click on that, it takes you to this link that's here. And this is a free course. You can take it online. It's going to take you a little bit more than an hour, but you can do it in your own time frame, from the safety and comfort of your own home, from your dining room, your home office, wherever it is. You can go in and out of the class. You can do those probably 3 hours of teaching over the course of a month or 3 months, or you could do it in one night. But this is a really, really good, simple intro to sustainability and resilience and what that means, what it means for realtors, what it means in the real estate transaction as well. So there's that piece. I'm going to go back here to the toolkit. Let's see if I can get back here easily. So that's one piece. If you're going to add one piece of sustainability to be ready for this level of business, I would say click on that link, Intro to Sustainability and Resilience. The other intro piece here, and this is to give you a sense of how rapidly this part of the market is moving. This is a tool called the Green Building Registry that I just clicked on. Now, I live in Melrose, Massachusetts, so I know Melrose quite well. You can see that I can type in Melrose and I can go to the entire city of Melrose, Massachusetts. It's 1 mile wide by 2 miles long. And you can see that there are 703 homes up here on the top left that have of homeowners, either new construction or existing homes. My home is on here. It's an 1895 Victorian. 703 homes in the little city of Melrose, which has about 7,000 single family homes. About 10% of the marketplace has done some kind of home improvement to increase the sustainability, the resilience of the home. I'm going to click on one of them. This is actually my home and my downstairs neighbor. We live in 2 condos. Both of us have HERS scores on our home. But I'm going to click on the one across the street from us. This is a 3-family home. And when you look at the home, you can see that it has solar panels on the rooftop, solar PV. So many of the agents, when I get a call from one of our agents, Craig, what do I do here? How do I fill in the MLS? Well, the first place that I take them is to the Green Building Registry, because it's likely that that home with solar PV on the rooftop or ground mounted is in the Green Building Registry like this one is. Again, this is a 3-family, and the 4 fields in MLS PIN, the predominant MLS in the state of Massachusetts, that you need to fill in when you have a home with solar panels on the rooftop. There's 4 fields. Who owns the system? You can see that that's described down here. This is a seller-owned system. The year it was installed, you can see that's here in 2017. The size of the system, it's a 6.08 kilowatt system. And the average or estimated annual production, 9,427 kilowatt hours. So the 4 fields that are required in MLS PIN to fill are right here on the Green Building Registry for Massachusetts agents. It's a no-brainer to use this. Now, also for me, what I find compelling about this is that, I get to know my neighbors here. So I know the woman that owns this home pretty well now. She knows what I do in the industry. She knows that I know more about her solar system than she actually does. And now I also know that even though this is a 3-family and she doesn't live in it, she lives around the corner from where this is, she uses the power for that's produced from that solar PV system on the 3-family to offset her power at our single-family home that she uses around the corner here. So she used something called the Schedule Z to assign the power produced by that solar PV system to her own personal home. And again, I never would have known this if I hadn't started the conversation, right? So it's definitely worthwhile just plugging in the community that you live in, start to scroll down on your neighborhood, start to see the number of homes that are using these kinds of assets and clicking on the assets in a particular home, and and using that as almost kind of a lead gen tool for starting conversations with homeowners that you may be dealing with. So those 2 pieces, the Intro to Sustainability and Resiliency and the Green Building Registry, I think are really good starter kits. And if you're adding a couple of sustainability pieces to your list of 10 things to do, I would definitely start with that Intro to Sustainability and Resiliency, and then getting to know your neighbors through the Green Building Registry. And certainly, if you're listing any home that has these attributes to it, or maybe there's things that you can't see, like it has a HERS score on the home, like mine does, an 1895 Victorian has a HERS score of 59, that's also in the Green Building Registry. So I would, any home that you're listing, I would plug it into the Green Building Registry and see if there's assets there that you may not be aware of. The intermediate part of this is the script for realtors on climate risk. So National Association of Realtors in 2023 produced a script for real estate agents being asked questions about potential climate risk, okay? Now I'm looking on Realtor.com right now. Realtor.com, there's an active listing in Melrose at 59 Mystic Ave in Melrose, okay? Realtor.com, if you scroll down to the environmental environmental risk section, there's a whole section on environmental risk here. And in fact, it says for the flood factor for environmental risk, it's severe for this home, 7 out of 10. You can imagine, right, being at an open house that may be crowded, a bunch of people in the kitchen, and someone's on Realtor.com and asks, what does this mean? Severe risk for flood factor. Well, understanding that riskfactor.com, which is First Street Foundation that created this, has created a tool using predictive analytics, using 15 and looking 15 and 30 years forward at the potential risk for this particular property. So understanding that this is 15 and 30 years forward is an important part of the conversation. But even more important part of the conversation is, I certainly understand your worries about this, and we want to help you find the best home that's right for you and your family. The city of Melrose, like most cities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, has produced a climate a risk assessment and a climate action plan. If you can give me your email address, I'd be happy to email those to you so you can see what the city engineers are doing to protect the risk in particular neighborhoods to make sure that they're not flooded in the future. This is an active conversation in the city. And by the way, this is something that I specialize in. I think about climate risk quite a bit. If you're not working with a buyer's agent, I'd love to be able to work with you and make sure that you have all the tools that you need to be able to make the best choice for you and your family. So there's a script here on how to deal with that stuff. I would get used to that script as kind of an intermediate piece of this. The advanced stuff is on valuation, right? So believe it or not, homes, for instance, like the one across the street from mine, where the seller owns the solar PV system, have a different valuation process. We would use the comps for the 3-family, but we would also use an income approach using the PV value tool and the Green Appraisal Addendum. The Appraisal Institute created a addendum for homes with high performance features that you can give to an appraiser, a qualified appraiser that knows how to use these tools. So, the advanced stuff might be the article on selling and valuing high performance homes. We have a great set of decks here. If you are going to compete against another set of agents and it has high performance features, you might take a look at the high performance seller decks that we have and the high performance buyer decks that we have that are very, very useful. And you could just take one or two of those slides and add them to the traditional buyer deck that Stacy already pointed out, if this is something that you're interested in and as part of your process of helping buyers and sellers know your value proposition. So that's kind of the easy deck, the intermediate deck, and the advanced deck that we have, information that we have in the Sustainability Agent Toolbox, Stacy.
All right, awesome stuff. And you already have a fan on here. So I gave your cell phone and your email address, but Craig is definitely well known in the whole industry. That's why many of you probably already have seen him speak through National Association of Realtors, etc. And I'll make one more plug. Both Craig and I are constantly saying that every real estate agent really needs a green designation because every transaction now has sustainable features of some sort, and if you're not careful, you don't provide the right value. So you go out and you think because a house sold, you might use, for example, in a neighborhood and say, oh, that house sold for 500,000, so this house is worth 500,000, not realizing that your property that you're listing has sustainable features, and you've basically discounted all of those features by not giving them their fair and accurate place in your valuation process. So don't be a
Yeah,
liability to your customers.
the income approach can, using just the PV, for
Mhm.
example, it can add $20,000 to $25,000 worth of contributory value that agents could be leaving off the table. Or in a cooler market, you can also use that tool. Maybe you're still listing it at $499, but that 20 to 25K of additional value could save you if the appraisal comes in low from a comp perspective, right? So there's a couple different ways to be able to use these tools, but you're leaving money on the table is the long and short of it, Stacy, for your buyers. And Brian, I can't wait to meet you. I'm looking forward to your call.
All right, good stuff. Let's see. We are going to go back to our Lair Agent Services page. Let's see. Because we only kind of brushed the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the marketing stuff available. So we're going to go back down to marketing, branding, and presentations because we have several more pieces we want to share before we move over to some of the other good stuff that is on here. So first, we recently added this whole separate button for print marketing. And this used to be buried somewhere else and it was hard to find. But I wanted to go through some of these. These are print marketing companies, and I probably shouldn't be putting this after the sustainability segment, but I do think there is an opportunity to get in front of people through print marketing because there's not a lot of traffic there. So these are some of our favorite print marketing companies. And the caveat I'll say is, number one, we don't get paid anything for promoting these companies. We just think they work. So I'll show you each one and why I think it offers value. The first one is MLS Mailings. If you just listed or just sold a property, it's a good idea to send out a mailer to the close by neighbors to let them know that you just listed or sold a property within the neighborhood. And many agents do this, but they don't do it consistently. So we said at the start today that your business is a byproduct of what you do consistently. So let's create little machines, little mechanisms within our business that are things that are being done consistently. Why not have one of those mechanisms be just listed, just sold postcards? So that's what MLS Mailings does. And specifically why I love MLS Mailings is they have it set up for set it and forget it. In other words, you just set it up once and it hooks up to your multiple listing service so that automatically when you list a house or sell a house, it'll automatically send out, say, 100 or 200 postcards to the neighborhood that you just sold a property. So, and it's not super pricey. It's basically, if you want jumbo postcards, it's $136. If you want regular size postcards, it's $104. I think it's a wise investment for just listed, just sold postcards. The second company I always recommend is The Personal Marketing Company. Their website is tpmco.com, The Personal Marketing Company. And let's see if I click. I always click on the wrong button when I'm doing this presentation. For some reason, it just doesn't stick with me. Oh, I found it. Automated client. First of all their stuff is great, but specifically the most important one is the automated client follow-up. This is a really cool package, and over time, this is an absolute no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. The reason this one is so important is it's a one-time charge of $48. So you just pay once, 48 bucks. And for the next 5 years, it stays in touch with your client with mailers. And the mailers are all different. Some of them are a magazine, some of them are a postcard, some of them are a letter. But basically, they get over 5 years all of these mailers. So the reason this is important is because there's a statistic that the National Association of Realtors puts out that says when a buyer and seller, or when somebody works with a real estate agent, based on surveys, 88% of people would work with that same agent again. So that means most people are quite happy with the level of work that their agent did, and they would hire that person again. But the other statistic they stack on top of that is the actual number of consumers who use the same real estate agent when they go to buy or sell another house. So that number's actually statistically super low, under 20%. And I believe that discrepancy can be attributed to the fact that many real estate agents are just really lousy at staying in touch with customers after the closing. So if you put everybody into this $48 program after you close, so you just sold somebody a house, now put them on this campaign so that it's like an insurance policy. Even if you forget to reach out to the person, which hopefully you don't, even if you forget to reach out to the person, that this system is staying in touch for you and getting your picture, your contact information in front of the person for the next 5 years. That is insane. That is an insurance policy. That is like, hey, just pay the $48 and it increases the likelihood the consumer is going to come back to you when they're ready to buy or sell. I get it. You typically you're doing more than one transaction a year. You're doing several transactions, and there's so much work and effort that goes in getting to the closing table that by the time you get there, you're like, okay, I don't want to think about anything right now. And that person is most likely not going to buy right away or sell right away. So we go focus our attention on more urgent needs. So it's very easy to kind of forget about the person that just closed. So go sign up for this program. No brainer. Wise Pelican is another mailing company. I like a few things about Wise Pelican. So they also do just listed, just sold postcards. It's not automated like MLS mailings. But what I like about this company is, number one, it does have a hook into your MLS. So if you want to create a postcard or a flyer, you don't have to drag and drop photos. You just plug in the MLS feed and it'll pull all the photos for you. I also like that Wise Pelican is really good about always making sure there's a call to action on postcards. One of the things agents forget to do is put a call to action, such as a QR code that's going to capture the person's information so that you can follow up with them. So, big fan of Wise Pelican. Let me also do Yellow Letters Complete. I like Yellow Letters Complete because they do bulk handwritten mailers. There's two types of handwritten mailers, by the way. There's AI handwritten mailers and actual human written mailers. Both of them are great. So let's just say it's the holidays and you want to send a handwritten note card to 200 of your past clients, and you don't want to sit and write 200 note cards. You could hire Yellow Letters headquarters to do that for you. So cool program, especially for handwritten stuff, either AI handwritten or human handwritten. Postcard Mania. This is a really cool company. I've started using this from a recruiting standpoint, but this is what I like about Postcard Mania. Very, very, very different from an average mailing company. So they do postcards like, for example, get a free CMA, free market analysis postcard. Imagine you're sending that out to an entire neighborhood. Well, what they have is something called an individualized QR code. So let's just say that you have a QR code on your postcard and it leads them to your website. It can lead them anywhere. It doesn't actually matter, and you don't actually have to have it go to a contact form. So normally in the old days, in order to capture somebody's information, they'd have to go onto your website, fill out their name and phone number, and now you know that they're interested in a CMA. Well, what Postcard Mania does is you just put a QR code to your website, And because every single card they send out has its own unique QR code, if somebody scans it, they know right away. So you'll get a text message saying, hey, Joe and Sarah at 10 Main Street just scanned to your website. So Joe and Sarah don't have to fill out their name. They don't have to fill out their phone number. All they have to do is receive the postcard, scan it, and the system says, got it. We know you just scanned the postcard. It's pretty interesting. The other thing that Postcard Mania does is they do simultaneous social media marketing. So they take the ad copy for your postcard, and wherever you're mailing the postcard, they're going to run a simultaneous social media campaign so that people see the postcard. Not only do they get the postcard in their mailbox, but then they go on Facebook and they start seeing your picture in the same exact postcard. So it makes you super memorable. So that's Postcard Mania. And the last one is RSP Data Driven Direct. RSP is great for especially our Florida agents. Many of our Florida agents work in these huge homeowners associations. So I love that they do these market update reports where basically you just go in and pick the association that you want to mail to, and it puts your picture, your contact information, and it pulls all the data. So it'll send out this report of all the properties that have sold within, for example, Kings Point, and say, hey, look at all the properties that sold. Call me if you want to sell your property. So those are all under print marketing. Some other resources that we have here. Under NAR settlement resources, when NAR changed all the rules for doing business, we created some great resources. We wrote our own manual to all the new forms that were being introduced, but also there's a few pieces here that are still quite relevant. Specifically, if you have a buyer who thinks that they can just be unrepresented, in other words, they don't see why they need a buyer agent, there are some good articles here about why buyers need buyer agents. There's also some great articles here of why sellers should pay a buyer agent. So these are just third-party resources that are helpful for you articulating A, why a buyer needs a buyer agent, and B, why a seller should be willing or open to pay a buyer agent for the right offer. So some great pieces there, and that's under NAR settlement resources. We also have, if you're a layer agent, we send out to you your monthly social media pieces. You can go download all those pieces here, by the way. So each month we put our most recent social media pieces here. If you're a layer agent, even though we provide tons of marketing resources, we also are happy. We have a very robust marketing team, and they're happy to create pieces for you. So if you need a piece for anything, maybe you're putting an ad in a church bulletin or something like that, whatever you need, we're happy to do it. You can go to special marketing requests. We also have a button here of open house resources. This is a great button because there's some cool things here. Number one, little welcome signs to put around the house. So let's say you expect a very busy open house and you want to put little signs around to point out certain things, like take off your shoes, or some of our agents use these for turn off the lights, but they also use them like if there's little features around the house that you want to draw attention to. These are cute little signs for that. I really like, we have a couple different sign-in sheets here for your open houses. Specifically, I love this one, especially in a changing real estate market, which it is changing in many of the communities we do business in. You list a property, you might not get 20 offers on it like you did 3 years ago. You might get no offers. So this turns, instead of having a plain old open house sign-in sheet, you could leave these out at your open house where you ask the consumers coming into the open house to leave you feedback. So that now you can use that open house as a force multiplier to get a price reduction if necessary. We also, if you keep scrolling down, we have some other cool stuff, such as if you wanted to have like little giveaways at your open house. These are little tags for microwave popcorn, and they basically just say thanks for popping by the open house. And you just customize these, print them, and put them on microwave popcorn. We also have activity sheets for kids. I always say when you're doing an open house, it's a good idea to have a little activity center for the kids, so that if somebody comes into the open house and they have little kids with them, that they're not distracted from looking at the house because they're trying to occupy their children. So have a little table set up in the kitchen with some crayons, pens, pencils, and create a little activity center. So this one is like design your own for sale sign, draw the perfect home, little maze, stuff like that. So that is all under the open house tab at Layer Agent Services. Next, we have commercial real estate resources. So every month, I think it's the third Thursday of every month, we do commercial real estate training. And so you can actually click through there and check out some of the training that we've done. You'll see that over the last year or so, we've been really perfecting our commercial stuff. We've updated our whole website to really focus on the commercial work that some of our agents are doing, but also we've been slowly upgrading, like our tenant rep agreement, our commercial tenant worksheets. We've created all kinds of classes, like 1031 classes, classes on environmental issues, mastering commercial leases, etc. So under the commercial tab, you're going to find all kinds of resources. You'll find commercial listing presentations, marketing pieces, commercial offering memorandums. If you are into commercial real estate, you can also join our commercial network. The commercial network, it's just an email group. You'll be added to our email group and you'll get email reminders when we're offering classes. Literally every month we have classes for commercial agents. So if interested in commercial, join the commercial network, and all it will do is you'll get 1 or 2 emails a month about what we're doing on the commercial front. Next, we have a button here of oh, we got to fix that. Just so you know, Sergio, that we're missing our apparel piece that goes under that particular link. So we'll get that fixed. Oh, here it is, shop. All right, layer signs. So this is the correct button. We just got to correct the wording on that first button. So this is for layer agents. If you need to order anything that's layer branded, such as for sale signs, open house signs, business cards, apparel, we have a bunch of places that you can shop for stuff. We also have a button here with all kinds of layer logos and images. We have a button here for seasonal pop-by tags. So one of the things we teach, and I'm going to take you guys through a quick tour of our Algorwin program, which is our business growth system for real estate agents. One of the pieces of the Algorwin program is getting out and meeting potential buyers and sellers each month. And so we say always show up with an item of value of some sort. So we create these little tags so you can print out pop-by tags and customize them to you so that you have something to give when you go out. And then we have an agent bio generator here. The agent bio generator is, if you haven't updated your bio, and by the way, this is part of our Algorwin program. The first part of our whole Algorwin business growth system is getting your online presence aligned with who you are as a human being, because people are going to judge your online presence first because they don't get to see you first. They don't get to talk to you first. They get to judge you by your online presence. So your online presence is so important. When was the last time you updated your professional photo? And when was the last time you updated your online bio? So we have a document here, or AI generator, that it asks you a bunch of questions to help you create a bio about your business so that you can go update your bio on Zillow, realtor.com, your basically everything. So let's see. I'm just reading some of the comments here.
I sent Brian your link to schedule a call with
Oh,
you.
perfect. Okay, awesome. Perfect, Brian. Yeah, happy to chat with you. I love the idea of sequencing. Okay. All right. So let's see. We got pop by tag, shop, agent bio generate. And the last thing I want to go through is the raw report. So every single month, there is a new raw report that we put out. The raw report is a newsletter for you to market yourself. So this is like a print marketing piece that you could put into your buyer and seller packages. You could put into, you can leave out at the local pizza shop. So one of the things we teach in the Algorwin program is you can become number one in your marketplace just by focusing on local vendors like pizza shops, hairdressers, things like that. And so this is one of the tools we use as a force multiplier to build that business, to build a vendor business where you have vendors referring you business. And one of the ways you can do that is using the raw report. So basically each month you reach out to a different vendor, and ask them if you can interview them about their business, why they're in the business they're in, things like that. So this, and sometimes agents just use these to print them and send them out to their database. But one of the best ways to use this is to do your vendor interviews each month, and then you print a whole bunch of them. You put the vendor interview in here because you cut out one of the articles that we've put. You insert the vendor interview you did, and then you ask the vendor if you can leave a whole bunch of copies of the raw report at their place of business because it features their business. By the way, these big red splotches are meant to be removed. It's just so you know that you have to go change the phone number, the email address to make sure that it's all customized to you. So raw report, we put out a new one every single month, and it's just a great way to stay in touch with clients. But more importantly, it's used as a tool to build your vendor referral program. So that's kind of everything under marketing, branding, and presentations, but we're not quite done. I want to ask Sergio, who heads up our tech and marketing team, to come on for just a few minutes, just to give you a really brief rundown on our Zara marketing platform, because I see we do have some Lair agents here. And if you are a Lair agent, we do have the Zara marketing platform, which is very similar to Canva. It's just that it takes every single piece that we have and creates it for you, so you don't have to drag and drop your photos, stuff like that. So I will let Sergio go through the Zara platform.
All right, great. I'm going to go over a couple of things that we have available for our Lair agents. You do need to be a Lair agent to take advantage of some of these features, but it's also great if you can kind of see the inner workings of some of our more advanced marketing stuff. So first, I'm going to cover the Zara platform. Like Stacy mentioned, it's very much like Canva, but one of its main features is that it connects directly to the MLS, right? Connects with your own MLS, so you're able to grab information, both photos, descriptions, directly from the MLS, right? So before with Canva, we would have to download the photos to our computer, then re-upload them. Because of this direct connection, we're able to just import everything. And because of this, we're able to create these marketing bundles for you. So anytime your listing has a status change, so when it goes live on the MLS, when there's an under agreement, when it's marked as sold, we send you out, or Zara, the platform, sends you out an email telling you to log into your Zara account to retrieve your marketing. So these playbooks are generated automatically for you, but you can also go in and generate them manually. If you have a closing coming up, for sure it's going to close, you can generate this material ahead of time. You don't have to wait for it to be marked as closed on the MLS. I'm going to give you a quick demo of this platform. So if you are a Layer agent and you've heard of Zara all this time, but you never took the time to sign in, if you go to layergps.com, do a quick search for Zara. It's just one article here. It'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to sign into Zara, right? We even have a video here that you can review. Now, the sign-in process is different for brand new agents and for existing agents. So kind of choose the one that applies to you. Again, step-by-step. If you haven't signed in yet, now's a great time to do it because they had some recent updates to the Zara platform. Okay, so let's go to Zara itself. I'm already signed in. One of the main things you'll see is the dashboard has changed. We have some more information now in the dashboard. We can actually see your listings now. They come up. You're able to edit your profile directly from the dashboard. If we click on this pencil button, you can add in your MLS ID. You can search out the photo. You don't have to email us to switch the photo. If you want to update it for the summer or you got some new headshots taken, you can very quickly just upload the new version of your photo to your profile. If we scroll down, you see it asks for even more info. You can add as much as you want. If you have links to your website, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Also, if you are in a team and you have your personal logo, you can also include that as well. Now, once that is all set, anytime you generate any kind of marketing material, it brings in that information, your photo, your contact info. Now, from this section, you can also generate materials, right? So as a Layer agent, we will generate them automatically for you. So you can go to the listings section, click on See All, and you'll see all of your listings show up. Again, now we're also including the photo of the property, so it makes it easy to kind of see some listings and to kind of visually tell them apart. I think before we just had the address, but you can also do a search, right? And you can also generate new marketing materials. So in this case, I'm going to show you how easy it is to just click on Generate Marketing Materials. You can run a playbook. We'll do a just listed, right? All you need is the MLS ID, right? So I already have this MLS ID saved, so I'm going to pick the agent. Most of the time it's going to be you, but if you're covering someone else for an open house, you can put in your information, you put in your email address, and you will pop up there, and then we can click on Run Playbook. Now, it does take some time for the playbook to run. It takes maybe around 5 minutes. You will receive an email notification once it is done, so you can kind of set it and then maybe get a coffee or whatever. You can even close the tab. You will receive an email once it is done generating. Let me show you one that has been already generated just so you can see what is generated here. We have social media pieces, right? And then we also have some flyers, showing sheets, postcard, etc. Now, these are very easy to use. Just like Canva, we can open up a design. We can click on Edit. And within this Edit function, here we go. Within the editor, you're able to move around any element. So any of the photos, any of the text, you can kind of change any of the layouts, the font size, etc. Let's say you want your name to be bigger, you just highlight your name, right, and then make the font size larger, right? Do it for both here. And then for the photos, you'll notice that it immediately brings up the photos, but you can also click on real estate. It'll bring up the listing agent, right? But if we go to listing, we have the photos and then we have the listing information. So anything that's on the MLS under this listing info, it will bring in. So even stuff like square footage, zip code, etc., all that stuff. But most importantly, it does bring in the listing photos. So if we click on all, we have all of the listing photos. It brings them in from the MLS. Now, the order that it brings in the MLS, the photos to Zara is the order that you upload them to the MLS. So in this case, we have a lot of exterior photos first, right? So they bring in all of these exterior photos. So maybe you don't want that. This is a very nice property. It has like a horse barn thing, and let's say I want to feature that. I can just click, drag, and drop to our frame here, and now that updates our photo. It also has a really nice kitchen, so we can just click, drag, and drop, and now we have updated our photos. Now that it is ready to use, I can click on download. I can download this as a PNG and then post anywhere, but I can also click on share and then publish on social media. You can connect your own social media channels, so Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. In this case, I manage a lot of pages, so I'm just going to choose one here for demonstration purposes. But it will schedule out your post, right? But it will also generate a caption for you based on the listing description as well as your information, right? So it does use AI. So take some time to make sure that everything looks good. It will bring in like hashtags, etc. You can edit any of this. So maybe you only want a few hashtags or no hashtags. You kind of get rid of some of this. Again, this does use AI, so you might see some of the artifacts of AI show up here. If you want to rewrite it, you can click on rewrite, and it will then generate it again using AI, right? So once you have something that you're happy with, you can click on post, and it will post automatically. I'm not going to do that in this case because it will post to our Facebook page. So that's just one of the social media pieces. We have different options. Let's see if our playbook was generated. It should be by this point. It's one of these. You can also go back to our dashboard. It should be that first option. Okay. Like I mentioned, you can edit any of these. And then we also have our listing sheets, our flyers. These can be downloaded as PDFs, and then you can print at home. You will download as a PDF, and you can print at any of our offices. All right, so I'm not going to spend much more time with this. Take some time. Again, if you're an agent with us here at Layer, take some time to sign in to Zara. You can poke around. Let us know if you have any questions. Then other thing I wanted to cover is that we also have other templates that are not just for your listings, right? So if you click on this template section, you scroll down, we have the 4-page brochure. That is kind of based on your listings, but we don't generate it automatically just because not every listing warrants it. But that last listing we did does kind of would benefit from a 4-page brochure. So you can click on it. And just like the other design, you just give it the MLS ID, and it will generate one for you. Let's see if we can give it some time for it to load. It'll bring in the MLS ID. Again, you can just type it in and then pick the agent, fill my design. So this will then bring in all of the images from the MLS and generate the 4-page brochure for you. Now, before with Canva, this would take some time. You would have to download the images or get the link from your photographer, upload them all to Canva, and then kind of drag and drop all of them into your design. In this case, we just generated it all automatically. Everything is in here. And of course, you can always go in and rearrange any of the photos, just drag and drop your images in. Just like this, exactly. Now, when you're ready, you can click on download. Download this as a PDF. This prints out on 11 by 17, which our machines in our offices are capable of doing. You just have to print on both sides and make sure that you're flipping on the short side. All right, so that's Zara. Take some time to check out the other templates that we have available here in these different folders. And then Zara itself has their own templates, just like Canva, that you can use. Now you'll see that the colors on some of these templates are different than the layer colors, but when you open one of these, it will actually brand it to layer colors. All right, so kind of moving on, the other program that we have for our layer agents is our monthly social media. So at the beginning of the month, we send out 6 to 8 social media pieces that cover 4 weeks of content. These are all brand new, fresh content. These are created by our social media, our head of social media, Renee Tompkins. She does a really great job. These are not just kind of AI generated things that you kind of can get anywhere now. This is content that is very valuable, that is real estate related. Let me show you a quick demo of what that looks like. You'll receive an email that looks just like this. You'll also get a text message, so you can post directly from your phone. But in this case, I'm going to show you the email. So we give you a suggested caption, right? And then in this case, this is a carousel post, so it's a multi-image post. We give you the Canva template, which we can then open in Canva. We'll click on View Template. Once you're in Canva, you can make edits if you'd like, but for this case, we can go ahead and share directly. You can click on Share. If you go to See All and go to the Social section, you can actually post directly to any of these accounts, so Instagram, Facebook, etc. In this case, I think there is a Facebook connected. You do need to connect it to your Facebook page first, but it will then kind of generate the preview. It will let you choose which pages to post, right? And then you can put in the caption. The caption itself, like I mentioned, we already have it ready up here, so you can just copy and paste, and then you can post or even schedule to post later if you have Canva Pro. Now, take some time. Again, if you are a layer agent, you should have received this at the beginning of this month. If not, let us know. We can make sure that it's getting out to you. Take some time to go through this email, look at all the different posts, download them, edit them in Canva, and then post them directly. If you don't see this, let us know. We can make sure it gets out to you. Now, one thing to note is at the bottom of all of these, you do receive an invitation to join our social media masterclass. Renee does a really great job. They're all different, right? A lot of our trainings can kind of be the same thing, and that's kind of by design, so new agents can kind of get going. But for these specific master classes, they're always changing. So definitely check it out. One of the last things I want to cover is this training section in our Layer Agent Services dashboard, because I will do some Zara training that's upcoming. If you scroll down, you can see all of the upcoming training, and that includes Zara as well as the social media. Now, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see that we have a section where you can view replays of all of our training. Now, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, but if we click on this, you can review all of our past training just from this section, right? So you can kind of get up to speed with all of the different social media master classes directly from here, and then you can go to our YouTube and subscribe. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, good stuff. Let's see. All right, it's 11:11. That's very lucky numbers, by the way. And so we have about 50 minutes left and so much to cover. So let's just see. All right, so before I move off of marketing, we're done with marketing. Basically, we spent the first 2 hours talking about marketing, branding, presentation, stuff like that. I want to do a really quick recap on everything. So it's really important that we get refocused on the things that we're going to do after we leave today's program. Cannot stress that enough. That the value of today is if you're going to spend 3 hours focusing on building a better business, then really the work is spent after the class is over. Like now getting to work at executing on the pieces that will move the trajectory of your business forever. So, what are some of the things that we're going to execute on as a quick recap in case you haven't written anything down? A buyer presentation, a seller presentation, your 3 packages, your buyer package, seller package, and your investor package. MLS mailings, no brainer. Like that way you have just listed, just sold postcards going out after every new listing and every sold without even having to think about it. Next piece, that's basically around $100, a little bit over $100 for 100 postcards to go out. That is a set it and forget it program, which means it'll change your business. Next, absolute must is the $48 thepersonalmarketingcode.com, tpmco.com. So that's your insurance policy. So if you forget to stay in touch with your people after you close on a transaction, the system is staying in touch for you. So that is your insurance policy. That is a must as well. So you guys probably have other items as well that you're going to go kind of add on your own, but really important that you stay on top of having certain things that you're going to go execute on after you leave today's program. Okay, let's move down to the next part of the agent services dashboard, and that's the agent growth and development section. The first section is classes, meetings, and coaching. So, very first link is the boot camp, which you guys have found your way here. But a couple things I want to have you do right away. Number 1, subscribe to our YouTube station. We offer so much training for you guys. Go subscribe just so you don't miss anything. All it will do is once you subscribe, it'll just have a little pop-up on your screen every time we add a new class. That way it's just a reminder that we have a new class there for you to watch. I think these are great, even just to listen to when you are going about your day, like going out driving, meeting people, going to home inspections, listening to some of these things. My favorite, of course, is Quantum Sparks, because Quantum Sparks is mindset, and your success is a byproduct of your mindset. The market is based on mindset. So I've said this over the last many years that the market has very little to do with what is going on outside of you. So what happens with gas prices? Is there a war in another country? Inflation, interest rates. Does that affect your business? The answer is maybe if you allow it to affect your business, but it doesn't have to. In fact, we know that because people around are doing business regardless of what the market is. So this tells us that the market is in your own head. Anyways, the Quantum Sparks class is kind of the program that helps you stay focused. So sign up for our YouTube station. You can go watch all the Quantum Sparks classes either at this link, which is a link to all of the Quantum Sparks classes. There's now like more than 60 or 70 of them. Or you could just subscribe to the YouTube station. Sorry, that's taken a minute to load, so I'll go back. We'll come back to it after it loads. I also want to point out our coaching program. If you're a newer agent and you need a great deal of direction, then we do have a phenomenal coaching program. Farah is our regional director in Florida. She is also our unbelievable coach. She delivers our coaching program. And basically, this is small group coaching. So you sign up, you get put into a group, very small groups, no more than 7 people per group. You do a bi-weekly meeting with Farah, and she holds you super accountable to the lessons that we teach within the Algorand program, which is our business growth system to get to 30 transactions a year. One other place I want to show you is if you are a brand new agent, because I see a couple people on here today are super brand new agents, we have a wonderful resource of tutorials and best practices. So these are all little classes on how to write an offer, what is the agency disclosure. So go to the state. We only have them for the states we do business in. But for example, if you're doing business in Florida, you should be watching all these little tutorial videos on the Florida forms. If you are Massachusetts, you should be watching all of our tutorial programs on all of the forms. So literally everything you need here. We also have like little guides, for example, a real estate agent's guide to lead paint so you can understand lead paint. We have a guide to home inspections that breaks down all the mechanical systems of a house. This is just an unbelievable, super robust training area for brand new agents. And all of this is under training, and this is under New Agent Resource Center. So that is all under agent growth and development, and then going down to classes, meetings, coaching. And then we're going to click on business plans and growth systems. So under this tab, we have a few things for you to look at. First and foremost is our Algorand system. So roughly 3 years ago, we wrote our own guide to building a real estate business. And basically, this was built. I have spent, like I said, 26 years studying high-performing real estate agents. And I find it so fascinating that some agents can make $1 million a year regardless of market, and other people seem to do all of the right things but never get any traction. This guide is step-by-step instructions to get traction for your business. If you follow the process in the system, you will get to 30 transactions a year. No question. Does that mean every agent gets to 30 transactions a year? The answer is no, which is why we offer the coaching program. Because what prevents somebody from getting to 30 transactions a year is not the system. The system will get you to 30 transactions a year. What will prevent you from getting to 30 transactions a year is yourself. So we layer the coaching program on top of the Algorand system so we can help you break the habit of being yourself so that you can change the trajectory of your business and your career. So you can download our Algorand workbook. This is a live link if you want to download the workbook. And you can actually walk through the book by yourself. So there's 3 ways that people complete the Algorand program. Some just get the book and they just work off the book and they build the system and the system works. Second, some agents need an extra level of learning. So we have a 12-week class that accompanies the Algorand booklet. So it'll walk you through a 12-week course that explains through each part of the system. And all of that is right here, same link. The third part is the coaching part. So if you get the book and you've gone through the classes and you're still not getting traction, then we can help you break the habit of being yourself, which is what is required to change the trajectory of your business. Your business trajectory is a byproduct of your identity, how you see yourself. So if you want to break into another level of business, it mandates that you become a different version of you, which is what our coaches are trained to help you with, trained to get you to that other level. So that's the Algorand system. We also have some really cool goal setting tools. We created these just at the beginning of this year. We created this little video program basically that walks you through like a goal setting and a system for making sure you are aligned daily with what your goals are. So, for example, one of the things we teach through Quantum Sparks is that one of the greatest mistakes that many agents make is they wake up each day and they wait to see what the world brings them. In other words, they allow the outside world to dictate how their day is going to end up. But high performers don't do that. High performers create their mindset first, because really the trick to life is knowing that you have the ability to influence all of it and waking up each day constructing in your head first how your day is going to execute, not waiting for the things to happen to you. No, you're preparing a mindset so when stuff happens that you are 100% prepared to deal with it, and it doesn't affect whether you have a good day or a bad day. You've already made the decision it's going to be a great day. So we have some great goal setting tools so you can live in alignment throughout the day. There's also a link here if you're an agent that needs business. These are all referral fee based lead platforms that you can sign up for. So these are live links. Also, we just added recently, we have some agents that pay per lead for seller lead platforms. These are companies that you pay like around $200 per lead and they sell you seller leads, people that are interested in selling their home. So these are just some different lead platforms anybody can check out. We also have a traditional business planning guide. This is like if you were to Google business plan, this is what you'd get. If you just Googled real estate business plan, this is our version of that, like a traditional business planning tool. ChatGPT could give you something like this. Very different than the Algorand program. Algorand is a system that you basically work the system. This is just like a planning tool. I do like the planning tool, especially for teams to get together once a year as a team, print out the business planning and have lunch and all formulate together what you're going to accomplish. And then we have a couple others. We have another type of business plan called a simple plan. This is just a tool that helps you in. So if you want to have a massive shift in your life, like a massive shift, let's just say you're doing $2 million in production a year and you want to do $10 million in production per year. That requires an identity shift for sure. So that's why many self-help books don't actually work for people, is because you're working from the same person. You have to shift identity in order to get to a different level. It's all the same version. It's all different versions of the same you. You are you to your core, but there are different versions of you, different identities that you can choose to be. This document helps you shift identity to move towards the alignment of the person that you wish to be and the amount of business that you wish to be doing. So that's called the simple plan. And then the last document here is just the income producing activities checklist. This is like if you're having a slow day, one of the worst things is sometimes you get a slow day. And what keeps many high performers like high performing is that they like to be busy. So if you ever have a day that you just have not much going on your schedule, you can click over to the income producing activities worksheet and it kind of keeps you focused so that you're doing stuff. And then we have a link. The last link is just CE classes, a partnership that we have with the CE shop. All right, let's keep going down. We're going to move down to the agent toolbox. So you've seen a little bit of this, like you got to see a nice overview of the sustainability section. Craig got to show you. We also have a library here of just like extra resources. For example, sometimes agents need like a copy of our E&O policy or something like that. This is like those little miscellaneous documents, things like that under the library. If you're a layer agent, we also have a link here for getting paid. This is how bookkeeping gets notified that you have a closing coming up or that you need checks for something. So that's all under the layer check request. And we also have an entire agent safety page. This one's really important because I can't stress enough. We're dealing with strangers. So it's really important that we as real estate professionals have a situational awareness. So we do bring in speakers each year on this very subject. This was a great class for everybody to watch on situational awareness, and some really good links for things to help keep you safe. Specifically, my favorite is Invisaware. So you can buy like jewelry and keychains that have built-in alarm systems so that you can remain safe. And then that's basically everything except for this one last link that we're going to spend the next half hour on, and this is the technology tools. So there are lots of pieces of technology that we utilize in our business every day. Specifically at Layer, we have 3 pieces of technology that we rely on quite heavily. We call it our Layer Technology Bundle. And the Layer Technology Bundle, there's certain things that are like baseline that we provide to our agents, like dot loop, showing time, like just things that you need to run your business every day, cloud CMA, things like that. But then there's this next level. This is what we call our tech bundle. This is the things that will take your business to a whole new level if you simply embrace them. So I just want to give you, we're going to go through 2 of them. First one is Fellow. So Fellow is the preferred CRM system of Layer Realty. And in case you're not familiar with Fellow, actually, I'm going to pull up, I think I have a presentation I can show you that articulates this a little. Let me think about it. Well, I'll explain it first. So Fellow is a CRM system. And by the way, if you go to this layerrealty.com/fellow, if it sounds intriguing to you, you can go watch this Fellow class, and it basically shows you exactly how it works. But let me explain it and why you must have this in your business. So it's a CRM system. You put names and email addresses, names, addresses, email addresses into your database. Is that important? Of course, because your database is your gold. Your database is what makes your business saleable down the road. So you have to have a database for your business. So if you're collecting all this information, names, addresses, and email addresses, next you got to stay in touch with them so that you can turn that into new business. The fastest way to do that is with Fellow. So what Fellow does, every 2 weeks, it sends out a home value report to your client. And I want to be clear, it doesn't actually send them the value right away. Every 2 weeks, everybody that is in your Fellow system will receive an email from you, and it will say, hey, the home values in your market are up. Click here to get your instant value. Or home values in your market are sliding. Click here to get your instant value. So the system does this every 2 weeks. So the consumer receives the email, they click on it because they want to know what their value is. The system creates a landing page with the value of the property. It shows them what they use for comps. Now the system notifies you and says, Joe and Sarah just got their home value report. So the fact that they clicked on the button to get the home value report is the value of the system, to be super clear. Because one thing that real estate agents say is I don't like the system because the value is not accurate. Well, it's actually a blessing that the value is not accurate, because the value that the Fellow gives is an automated valuation, just like Zillow does. Zillow gives people an automated valuation of their home. So that's what Fellow does. It also gives an automated valuation of the property. So every 2 weeks, the client receives an email from you saying, click here to get your home value. When the client clicks on the home value, it notifies you that the person just clicked on it, because that is the valuable part. That means now it's your turn to call the person and say, hey, I noticed that you just were looking at your home value. What did you think of the value? Too high, too low, or just right? So it's really important that you don't miss that step, because otherwise the system's not that valuable. The value is it creates a reason for you to call the customer to talk about the value of their property. The second reason it's valuable is that the clients are getting this information anyways. Most of you own real estate. You own the house you live in, many of you. Which means you're getting emails every month from your mortgage company, probably. Definitely if you have a Rocket Mortgage for sure sends you multiple times a month, reminding you how much equity you have in your property. If you have ever signed up as a customer for Zillow, then they're sending you your home value report every month. So the point is that the clients are already getting this information from other places. We just need to be in the mix too. We are their real estate professional, which means we need to be in the mix, sending them their home value report on a regular basis, so that there's a chance they click on our home value report and not the Zillow home value report, or not the Rocket Mortgage home value report. Because if they click on the Zillow or the Rocket Mortgage home value report, there's a chance you're going to lose the client, because those entities are going to refer them to another real estate agent. So we need to be in the mix with the home value report monthly, which is why Fellow 100% matters. Secondly, I really like Fellow because on the back end of the system, they actually rank your entire database with the people who are most likely going to sell their property ranked the highest, so that you should reach out to this person. There's a likelihood, based on what they're clicking through, that they're going to sell their property. So this is why Fellow is so important. And if you're a Lair agent and you're not using Fellow, then 100% you're losing business. You got to be using Fellow. It is an absolute game changer. It's a minimum in our business, because we already know that these other vendors are providing the same exact content, but we're the real estate professional. Rocket Mortgage is not the real estate professional. Zillow is not the real estate professional. We are the real estate professional. By the way, on the back end of Fellow, it also has these other links with, it lets them know it's an automated valuation. And it says, hey, click here if you want an actual CMA of your property. So there's some other buttons embedded in there, but really the value is when the system emails you and says somebody wants the value of the property, it's your turn to pick up the phone. The other piece of technology that is a game changer, in my opinion, is Real Scout. So Real Scout is a property search platform. So this one is really important because if you're not controlling where your buyer is searching for real estate, then I can pretty much guarantee that you're losing buyers. Because if all of your buyers just go to Zillow or Redfin to look at real estate, then you're definitely losing business. You want to be controlling where your buyers are searching for real estate, and you want them on a site that is not trying to sell them to another real estate agent, like not trying to sell them mortgage products, and it's a site honestly just designed to help them find real estate. Is Zillow designed to help somebody find real estate? Arguably, maybe it is, except you can't actually tailor your value. So it only allows for searches within $50,000 increments in many markets. So that means they don't want to have a narrow search of real estate, which means they're not necessarily trying to find the person the best property. They just want to send a lot of real estate to the person so that they stay on the person's radar. So those are just different business models. There's nothing wrong with either one, but what's most important for us is that we want to control where our buyers are searching real estate. And for us at our company, that's Real Scout. So I'm going to have Ashley give you a quick rundown on the Real Scout platform.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Make sure I share the right one. Can you see my screen? I just see a black screen, but it shows me that I'm sharing it.
I can see it.
Perfect.
It's Canva? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Canva updated oh, I don't want to present and record. Did they? Oh, present. There we go. They changed it. Okay.
It looks different.
So, as Stacy said, I'm just going to do a quick thing about Real Scout. Of course, there's an app for everything. Real Scout has two different versions, one for agents, one for customers. The quick way to tell them is the name. So Real Scout Agent Dashboard will be for agents. The Real Scout Home Search will be clients. Or another quick glance, the background for agent will be black with a white house, and then it'll be the inverse for clients. There is a unique sign up link. So recently, Real Scout updated how you do this, but it's still the same links. So you can use the two links to market yourself to self-generate. Verify your MLS. This is an older version of a PDF that I need to go through and redo because I tried to find my one that I typically use and I couldn't find it this morning. So it's going to look a little different, but it's still the same process. So verify your MLS. So if you have multiple MLSs in your Real Scout, it's going to default to search across all of them. So for example, for me, I have New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts. So it's always going to do across MLS. But to select a certain one, you just click the drop down and then select which MLS. Now, if you are selecting prime MLS, you will need to select if it's residential, commercial, etc. They don't lump it all together like Maine and Massachusetts do. And you can categorize if it's residential, commercial, etc. when you're creating the search. New Hampshire, you do it up front when you're selecting your MLS. Add in a new contact, super simple. You can either add a contact by clicking add a contact, or there is a way you can upload a CSV file. So Real Scout, if you do a CSV file, send it to Happy Agent. We can upload it for you because it needs to be in Real Scout's template of their setup for their CSV file. Different ways you can search. You can search by drawing a radius. You can search by drawing a polygraph. Recently, I don't have it on this one. Recently, Real Scout allowed for overlapping, so you can overlap on the map. If you do your own map, you can search by a school district. You can search by your traditional zip code, county, state. You can also do a development name, a subdivision name. I will caveat this, you can only search by school district if you are doing one MLS. If you're doing, say, a cross search between New Hampshire and Massachusetts MLS, it's going to be more of your basic search, like if you were using MLS, then more of the refined search and more of the specialty search in the cross MLS. Updating clients is super simple. Over on the left, you have a navigation panel. You would click on the client name, click on the alert you want to edit. So if it's the listen alert, you would click the edit button, edit the filters that you want to edit. And then once you are done editing those filters, what you would do is you would click save or update. And if there's any new matches, it'll ask, do you want to send those to that client now or later? You can also send them an email. Again, you can decline to send them the email once you update. Auto nurtures, love the auto nurture feature. I have this enabled for all of my clients. So what it does is it's a drip campaign, keeps you top of mind. So let's say you have them set up on a 3-bed search, but they start looking at 3-bed 1-baths. The system will cater to both those searches, not just the one you have, based upon how your clients are interacting within Real Scout. The next one is monthly market activity report. It's just going to show you how many buyers are in a particular area, how many buyer interactions there have been. And again, this data is from within data within Real Scout. So if you have somebody who's looking at a top viewed listing, you'll be able to see what the top viewed listings are in a graph. It's also going to show you on a daily basis or on a weekly basis how many buyers have been in that particular area. You can zoom in on the map for a more specified area, or you can do the whole town, depending upon that. So again, I use this to structure my offers. On the flip side, you can use it for sellers on how to properly list a property. So if you have a seller up here, but all of your data shown here, you can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what's going on in your neighborhood or in your area of town. Look at all these recently sold listings within your area. Look at all the top viewed properties or hot properties that match your property or are similar to your property. And then why is Real Scout better than a website? Above average search experience, new property alerts daily. It updates automatically. Unlike Zillow, it doesn't update. As Stacy mentioned earlier, Zillow's behind. The emails are filled with photos, all the information you get in MLS. It's also very easy. It's an easier to read format than MLS. And then there's a mobile app and you can integrate it with lead platforms. And one of my favorite things about Real Scout that I think it's better than a website or better than MLS is one of my biggest pet peeves is my clients liking or disliking a property. Real Scout will allow them to like a property, dislike a property, but they can also go through and like the amenities and the features of the property, and you got all of that in your live feed and dashboard. And then the last one I have is let's talk about Zillow, why you shouldn't use Zillow and stuff like that. So with that, Stace, I'm going to give it back to you.
All right, good stuff.
I think that's the quickest I've ever done that.
Yes. Let's see. We are at the end of the program, but we have a couple things I want to go through really quick. Okay, so we basically spent the entire day, for the most part, at the Lair Agent Services dashboard. So I want to make sure that, first of all, you have this kind of bookmarked on your website so that you can come back, because we literally add stuff to it every single week. So tons of content. Make sure that you bookmark that. Second of all, I want to reiterate writing down the things that you're going to go execute on after today's program. So important, because we don't want you to spend 3 hours learning all kinds of great information for your business and then have tomorrow look like today. So it's your job from here on out to make sure tomorrow looks very different, because you're executing on these little strategies, these little changes to your business. So it's really important before the end of today's class that when you leave, before you get up and answer your email and return phone calls and text messages, that you take the time to write down what you are going to do in your business, what you're going to change. So write down your list. And then I want to go back for a couple minutes to where we started today, which was the Lair Program and Services Guide. This is that 35-page guide of all the tools and resources. And we said the first part of this guide, it's all broken down into sections. So the first section is marketing and branding, and that's where we spent most of the day today. We gave you a tour of Layer Agent Services. We gave you a tour of the Zara platform. You got to see all the marketing stuff that it did. We didn't actually get to cover everything we like to cover because there's just not enough time. But we have, we do classes around like Cloud CMA. We also have some other really cool marketing pieces available to our agents, including our magazine At Home and our Layer Luxury Selling Guide. We spent a little bit of time talking about some cool technology for your business. We have lots of technology at Layer, including Dotloop, Zara, Cloud CMA, Showing Time, G Suite, etc. But where I said to really focus your time is on Fellow, building that database, making sure that you're in their inbox every single month with their home value report. So, another piece of our tech bundle is your website if you're a Layer agent, but there's no heavy lifting there because we provide the website all done for you. So you really don't have to customize that. But we did say that you do need to spend a little time on Real Scout. So when you're thinking about the 10 things that you're writing down to move forward past today's class, when you're thinking about the pieces of technology that you need to incorporate into your business, the two main ones are Fellow, to make sure that that home value report is on a set it and forget it, and that all you have to do is learn how to put people into the system, add names, and then they get added in, and that home value report is going out every month so that you're at least in the running with Zillow and Redfin and the other people sending the same information to your clients. So definitely Fellow. The other one you really have to master is Real Scout, because it would be such a shame that you build this really good buyer presentation like the one we showed you today, and we showed you like the consistency with which you present to your buyers will determine the consistency of your success. So we don't want you to have spent all that time building something really valuable, which is the presentation where you're the teacher to the buyer, and then something as small as not making sure that the buyer is using your search platform causes leakage that you're now having to do for every 10 buyer appointments you do, 7 of them actually buy because 3 of them you're not controlling where the buyer goes to search for real estate, so you risk losing them. That's why Real Scout is so important, because now you control the search. You could see what they're looking at. You're making sure that they're not on Zillow or Redfin or looking anywhere else. Next, we talked a lot about career development today. If you need help organizing and systematizing your business, the Algorand program has it all. And we give you the whole book. The whole workbook is on Layer Agent Services. Not only do you have access to the book, but also the 12 classes that go with it. And if you're a Layer agent, you also have access to coaching so that our team will help you become a different version of yourself so that you can achieve the goals you wish for. Let's see. And if you are a Layer agent, we do have our awards program coming up in Mass and Maine. We've already done our Connecticut and Florida ones. Make sure if you're a New England agent, we'd love to have you at our upcoming award program. And then at the very end of this guide, it really focuses on other support services. So specifically, the most important support service we have at Layer for our agents is the Happy Agent system. If you're a Layer agent, our staff is available 7 days a week to answer any questions you have about anything. Just email happyagent@layerrealty.com. And our team is here. Just email in whatever you need help with, and that ticket gets assigned to a particular staff member. And then we as a brokerage can follow the trajectory of the request so that it's not possible for you to get lost. We also have lots of other technology. We don't spend a lot of time on it, but we have great technology like Deposit and Earnest to help you collect escrow deposits so you don't have to drive somewhere or have a customer drive to pick up a check. I showed you the link today of where you could go sign up for all of the lead platforms. And then you got to hear from our sustainability officer today and some of the things we're working on the sustainability front. And then last but not least, we have a list of all of our office locations. So if you're a Lair agent, you're welcome to use any office location whenever you want. You can go to lairrealty.com/office access. And there's a form there that you can fill out with your name, your Lair email address, and your cell phone number. And the system will give you all the information to access the office whenever you like to meet customers and things like that. So, if you joined us today and you are not with Lair, we would love to have a conversation with you if you're interested in learning more about Lair. In fact, the best place to learn more about Lair is at joinlair.com. So join LAER.com. And there's actually a form if you wanted to have like just a quick one-on-one call with me. There's a button up here where you can apply for membership in our amazing real estate brokerage. If you fill out that form, you'll most likely end up just doing a one-on-one Zoom with me, and we could talk about what your goals are. So we have offices all throughout Massachusetts, New Hampshire, we're in Maine, Connecticut, Florida. But even if we're not in your market, we're interested in doing business in your market. We're 100% expanding quite rapidly. So if Lair sounds like something you might enjoy working or a company you might enjoy being part of, we would love to chat with you. Even if it doesn't look like we're in your market yet, we're still interested in talking to you. So you can go to joinlair.com just to learn more. And to all of the Lair agents that joined us today, thank you as always for your dedication to your business. For everybody that joined for 3 hours, that is a lot of work. That is so much momentum you've created for your business. So we just don't want you to let that momentum go. Really, where the work starts is in 7 minutes at the end of the program. That's where the true opportunity is. That's where you get to go start executing on everything. So the level of your execution determines the level of your power, which is the level of the trajectory you're creating for your career. Do not have 3 hours of your day spent for nothing. We want to see you truly succeed. So with that, I want to thank everybody, my team, Sergio, Craig, Ashley, for joining us today and having another great boot camp. Next month, it's going to be the first Thursday of the month because the first Friday of the month is July 4th. And thank you, everyone. Have a great start to summer. Thanks, everyone.